Hello and welcome to Jtimes, where we uncover the Kabbalah take on Jewish issues and current events. With me, as usual, is Kabbalist Dr. Michael Laitman. Hello, Dr. Laitman. And the topic today is a continuation of our previous conversations, which is integral education. Integral education, to give a quick preview, is a kind of education that prepares a person for life in a new integrated world, where everything is interdependent, and because of that we must all learn to live like a single family and relate to each other like a single family.
I just like to add a bit.
Yes.
What we said is that unless we advance from our own free will, nature will push us toward that, but much more harshly, meaning we'll have to take upon ourselves the form of integral connection between us, but through very severe actions from nature.
Making integral education our only option for a good and pleasant life in the future world, near future world. Okay, so now I want to go back in time to the time when Israel were a united nation in the land of Israel before the ruin of the temple. If I remember correctly, you once explained that at that time, the children of Israel were brought up through, they didn't call it that, but it was, practically speaking, integral education.
Yes.
Okay.
It started even earlier when they came out of Babel.
Integral education.
Yes, because Abraham, our patriarch, that took from Babel those people that wanted to join him, they wanted to join him on condition that they're coming to an integral society, where everyone's friends and mutual love as one man and one heart, everyone comes as a truly united group. And on that condition that they came out of Babel and went to the land of Canaan.
So here you're talking about not integral education for children, but integral education for grown-ups.
Of course, for everyone.
For everyone. Okay, so we're going to talk about that a little bit, in just a little bit. But now I want to ask, because we have, from the old times, we have maxims like, teach the child according to the child's way, which to my ears sounds like an individual statement, or another phrase that sounds not so integral to me: he who spares his rod hates his son. Can you explain? Because
you have to understand what that means.
Come from that time, so I don't see how they work together.
First of all, to this day, I think, in each and every Jewish family, the attitude toward children is a very warm one and very special. And that's how it always was.
Very demanding, though.
That's called he who spares his rod hates his child, meaning that there has to be pressure on the child, but soft kind of pressure, warm kind of pressure. Two reigns, both pressure and also love. And the two have to exist, neither of them separately.
You're going to define the Yiddish mama now.
Right. That's the nature of the Jewish people, and that's how it's supposed to be, because we're the middle line that includes both the left and the right, the judgments and the mercy, and in between them we exist.
Okay, left and right, and din, rachamim, judgment, mercy, those are Kabbalistic or terms?
It's all from the Kabbalistic point of view, but it also stems from our nature.
Can you explain left and right in layperson
There is a
terms?
type of souls that belong to the right. These are the souls of the nations of the world. There is a type of the souls that belong to the right, which are the sons of Ishmael, the Arab nations, and there is a type of souls that belong to the Jews, which are in between, not these nor those, but really in between, that include these two lines together. And it's also the same with our calendar, that it's not according to the sun, like with the sons of Iswa, and not like the lunar calendar, like the sons of Ismail, but both together. Our calendar is made out of both. And that's how it is with everything. Always the middle line, meaning Not like with Arab nations in terms of milk and flesh, or the nations of the world, but everything in between. All of our laws, they come as a result of combination of these two forces. And also the studying. It was always that way. The judgment and mercy are included together on the middle line, and therefore the studying was very demanding on the one hand, and on the other hand, educate the child according to his ways.
Strange.
It
sounds like a contradiction.
It is if neutralizes each other, but specifically when they exist together, this is the way to go. This is how you build a person, because we have the good inclination, the bad inclination. With both thy hearts love the Creator thy God with your whole heart, with your both inclinations, the good and the bad. We're always on the middle line.
How is that done?
It's not simple. Really, it's not simple. To be on the one end or the other, it's easy. Either you hate or you love. But to combine the two together, love and hate, that's very hard. But specifically, that is the, like you call it, a trick that belongs to the Jews. And it's a very non-simple, meticulous kind of teaching, and the kids are taught. This is what they're taught from the very instant they're capable of grasping anything. And therefore, from the times they came out of Babel, and later on when they went into Egypt, came out, received the Torah, through our whole life, everyone was educated. There was no small child who did not know how to read and write, who did not know how to study our sources. Clearly, throughout history, that's how it was. In Europe, until 100 years ago, you had plenty of illiterate people, and in Europe, and still you have, I don't know, half the world that don't know how to read or write. And for the Jewish people, for them, it was always the main demand, and only accordingly you can examine people. Not according to the pocket, how much money you have, or your force, but only according to how much you know. A wise disciple was like the top of society.
But today, I know that it's taken to a point where it relates to erudition, to how well versed I am, how much I know by heart, perhaps, or how well read I am in the sacred writings. I have a feeling this isn't exactly what they were referring to as a...
Right. It's a result of the exile that we've reached a state where today we study according to the number of pages, not according to the depth that we have, like the Pardes.
The thing is, I'm noticing that today there is less of an emphasis on the moral qualities of a person.
So the decline in generations, can't do anything about that. That's how we are. We held on to it during the exile, but nonetheless it's influencing us, and we've reached a state where really we're almost falling apart. But now, at the end of the exile, at the end of this breaking apart, we now have, there's the time for resurrection, because the wisdom of Kabbalah is revealed, and through it we come to the integral education, which tells us what to do, how to unite, because the Torah itself, it doesn't unite us. The oral Torah that everyone studies, but the Torah of the secret Torah, the Torah of light, the so-called wisdom of Kabbalah, it has a force that can connect all of us together and give us integral education and return us to the internality of the Torah. The wisdom of Kabbalah itself is called the internality of the Torah, and thanks to it, through its force, we can achieve correction.
See, I apologize for sticking to that point, but it's still hard for me to understand how, through integral education, which means that everyone is interdependent and we all relate on each other, and still teach a child according to the child's way, means that the person's individual potential, individual personality is not only developed but nurtured. How? I still don't see how that contradiction is reconciled.
No, on the contrary. Meaning, we teach the child to be an individual, but individually, particularly typical for him to be connected, united with others. He has to be as unique as any cell in our body, very unique, special inside the body. And if there's that cell missing, the whole body is lacking. And that's how it is with us. Even though it's particular, but since it's integral, it's a part of the whole. And if something is complete and whole, the lack of even a single cell, there's a lack of perfection. And therefore, there's no contradiction here. And this is how truly each one completes the integrality and realizes himself.
Because it's a unique function in the system, or a unique qualities?
What each one of us has, no one else has. And specifically, he then, with his qualities, can complete the system, make it whole, perfect. And that's how it is with everyone.
So each person's individual qualities make the whole system more complete.
Right.
So without every person developing as much as possible to the fullest one's personal qualities, the system will suffer, will remain incomplete.
Right. And that's why we have to care for everyone, so that everyone will grow and complete the system.
Okay, and it's the individual's obligation or responsibility to both develop him or herself, and as well as developing the connections with the rest.
Right.
So you work in two lines again.
Right.
Interesting.
I'm happy that it's clear.
Not really, but I'm just the concept, intellectually. Okay, he who spares his rod hates his son. Why does he hate his son if he doesn't punish him?
That he doesn't put pressure on him, because he doesn't bring him to correction, because the correction of the child, of the son, is to achieve the correction of the soul. And a person that doesn't put pressure on him, he as if prevents his son from correcting his soul. That's hatred. That's actually hatred towards a person, because each one of us, what he has to do in this life is to correct his soul. And if I prevent that from someone, then that's truly hatred. There's no other hatred. Because if a person doesn't achieve the correction of his soul, then what did he live for? He simply suffered throughout this life.
Wait, but it says here that the father hates the son.
Right. If the father doesn't pressure his son, his child, to know how to correct his soul.
Who, the son?
Right.
Okay.
If the son will know how to correct his soul, the father doesn't teach him that. It's called to teach artistry. Then he really hates him. It's considered that he hates him, because how will the child know that otherwise then? How can he know?
Wait. Let me see if I got it. So it's not that if you don't punish your son, you'll end up hating him.
I don't punish. It's not that I punish. I pressure him to study how to correct himself, because that is the purpose of man in life. And if I won't pressure him and he won't correct himself, he simply suffers through life and ends his life without any use. That's called that I hate him. If I allow him to finish his life that way.
Okay, so again, if I don't pressure my son, okay?
But when I pressure him, I pressure him on the condition of educate a child according to the child's ways. I pressure him according to his character.
Let's go one step at a time, okay? If I don't press my son toward correction, then it's not that I'll end up hating him. By not pressing him, it's a sign that I already hate him. That's what you're saying.
Of course, sure.
It's not about the future. It's about, it shows my current state in the present as a father who hates his son because he's not giving him the right education.
Right. Besides that, the father is obligated to teach his child.
And then once you do pressure him, out of love, of course, you pressure him according to his own way.
Right. Because you have to help him develop his soul.
Jewish education is profound. I have to say.
right? But it's all only for the purpose of correction of man in this world. This is why we're here.
But in this world, you mean in this life?
Yeah.
Okay. So that was about the children. However, we just said in the beginning of the show that integral education is for children as well as for adults. It's for everyone.
If you start from a young age, then of course it goes out through
But
life.
let's assume that you didn't. Okay, so
The problem in our times, meaning that we're already in a state where everything's destroyed, and the time of the crisis has come and the whole world needs it. And we, as the light for the nations, have to first of all acknowledge our role, our obligation, first of all, to study ourselves what integral education is, and then to pass it on to the nations of the world. So now, for us, the most important thing is to understand, what does it mean to truly be Jewish? A Jew is he who unites with all the other Jews by way of unity, connection, as one man in one heart, like we were during the state of Mount Sinai.
Yehudi, from the word Yehudi, unique or united?
United. And this is what we have to come to.
It's written in the book Sfat Emet, Language of Truth, that the Jews must correct themselves, and when they do, all the nations of the world will follow them.
Right, we talked about it. That the moment we start correcting ourselves, between us there's a network, and between us and the nations of the world, and they start feeling that there's something about the Jews, and they start coming closer. Instead of hating, they start taking interest, coming closer, and to support and love.
I see. Okay, but today's world, regrettably, is a completely corrupt world. It's all broken up and breaking up even more.
It's up to us.
Indeed. So now the situation is that we have to educate not just children, but the grown-ups as well.
Right.
So how does integral education differentiate between education for children and education for grown-ups? What's the difference between them? Just in broad terms.
There's not that much of a difference. It's not about how old you are, but the grown-ups that weren't educated by integral education from childhood, they have to get it now themselves. They have to acquire it. But it's not there's a difference. It's the same education, only the language is a bit more adapted to grown-ups. But these are the same explanations, only in a more of a concentrated fashion, a bit quicker, with many more examples from the life of adults and not of children, and workshops that are also in a bit more of an atmosphere suited for adults. These workshops are these are special kinds of exercise where we start scrutinizing what exactly does it mean to be united, and all the different discernments. We'll talk about it, but there we discern what does it mean to be united, what qualities are there about me that I have to discover I have to reveal toward others. How are we interconnected? What do we discover in the connection between us, in the center of our connection? It's all both in the explanation. The integral education itself includes two parts. The first part is explanation. The other part is the act itself, these workshops.
So that's where they experience it, where they begin to feel it?
Yeah.
And through those workshops, you can actually transform into being an integral person?
People surely start feeling on these workshops how they're changing, and suddenly they start feeling that in the connection between us there's this special new force born, a unique quality of connection, of the correction, a certain attraction between us, connection, a kind of a covenant. And there is a lot of new additional strength in it that unites us and gives us a kind of a spiritual ascent. you learn that and you also realize it on the workshops, and the true benefit comes on the workshops.
It reminds me of something you said in a previous show, that the soul is not in each and every one of us, but is in the connection between us.
Right. Exactly. That's what we achieve while we're on workshops.
We're building our souls.
Right. Because the soul, no one has a soul. We talked about this, but specifically in the connection between us, that is the soul. And therefore, there was only one soul created, the connection between all the 7 billion people. But first of all, we have to correct the smaller part called Israel in the entire soul, and later on connect all the rest of the parts of the soul.
Very nice. I'm sorry, I have to...
Because eventually it comes out something very compact, something very concrete.
Yes, but it sounds like, it feels like something out of this world, really.
It's all in this world, and this whole world is a part of it.
No, I know, but it's like it's a feeling like you can't feel anywhere. That's what it sounds like.
People that start going through these workshops, they start feeling that these things are possible.
I have to come back down a little bit and go back just for a moment, because a question popped into my mind. In today's schools, you have the curricula and you have a certain amount of information about certain professions like math, like history, like English, like whatever, that a student has to know by the end of grades 1, 2, 3, 4 through 12, and then college and so on. In integral education, as I understand, the whole system is different. There are no curricula, you don't have to learn anything. How does it work?
There are materials, there are books, but the main thing is what the teacher explains on the first hour of the lesson. On the second hour of the lesson, this activity, the workshop. And that's it. If a person, or were a person, to dedicate, suppose, an hour and a half to this daily, or even an hour, that would have been enough.
For a grown-up or a child?
Both.
So what does the child do during the rest of the day, of the school day? Studies normally? Classes? Regular classes?
Yeah, he studies normal stuff.
In the regular way or differently?
Ordinarily. It's up to him. We're not discussing at the moment the form that the teaching goes on in an ordinary school in our times. What's important for us is that every child, every grown-up, whoever is Jewish, man, woman, will start studying the integral education, because by this we protect the people, protect our security, our good future, we prevent blows and calamities, and eventually we realize the correction of the world and keep the whole world for it to advance to the good future, correction.
Okay, I see what you're saying, which is different from what I thought. You're saying the schools remain
you don't have to change
as
the
they
schools.
are, exactly, but you add another, say, an hour and a half
an hour
a day with two parts. One part of explanation, provision of information, and the other part is practice of the information through workshops.
I'd start the day at school with that.
The first hour and a half in the school day.
Because then this whole atmosphere of the togetherness would have been kept for the rest of the day. And the atmosphere in the classroom would have been much better, nicer, both for the teachers and the parents would have felt that, how truly what an immediate change it really is.
Okay.
Immediate and great.
So we're going to continue this in our next conversation. There's a lot more to discuss here. For now, our time is up. So thank you very much for coming, Dr. Laitman, and we will continue on our next show. Until then, bye.